I know lately you've been talking about even what's happening with Greece, and somehow we might end up, are you worried we might end up bailing out Greece? Our taxpayers might end up bailing out Greece? Or are you talking about our what some people would say imperialistic moves on, I don't know, Iraq is the one they usually bring up, I guess, or Afghanistan?
So, you know what? I don't think you can separate the two. I think the monetary policy and the foreign policy is very intertwined. Recently, I said, as an argument for auditing the Fed, is to know exactly what we're doing behind the scenes in the negotiations to bail out Greece. And I think there's a concerted effort to prop up the dollar so the dollar can bail out everybody. Nobody wants to attack the dollar, because as long as the dollar is the reserve standard and we're willing to bail out everybody, I think other countries are going to do what they can to protect the dollar. So if they need us to bail out Greece, let me tell you, we buy up all other bad assets. We might as well buy up theirs. And under the law, believe it or not, they're allowed to. But I also, that's part of the Federal Reserve part. But the part of the foreign policy the young people don't like are the perpetual wars. War after war after war, and draining us $1 trillion a year to finance our empire, and being in 140 countries and have 700 bases. That can't be sustained. That's what always brings empires down to their knees. It's the financial problems, and we're in a financial mess. And everybody talks about cutting in Washington, but nobody admits that this country's bankrupt. But they're still spending. The worse the problems get, the more they spend, and the bigger the debt gets. And this can't last. And I think the handwriting's on the wall, and I think the young people perceive this a lot better than some of those who are blinded by the conventional wisdom of Washington.
Congressman, Senator Dodd is apparently going to provide a proposal this week on regulatory procedures, and among one of the things to be proposed is a regulatory commission to oversee and monitor some of the risks that occur in this country. And apparently he wants to vest the authority for this regulatory commission in the Treasury as opposed to the Fed. How do you feel about that?
I don't like that. Matter of fact, I believe in regulation, strong regulation by the marketplace. That is, when you don't provide a service or you get in over your head, you go bankrupt and you go to the bankruptcy courts and you live up to your contracts. But government regulations never work. All they do is sort of are biased toward one group versus the other. So the fact that they mess up an economy, there's so much malinvestment and debt created and orchestrated by the Fed to come in and think, well, we're going to prevent all these problems and correct the problem by just having more regulators. That just compounds our problems. So whether it's the Treasury or the Federal Reserve or whomever, I don't believe that's the answer. The answer is to allow the market to work and get back to market interest rates, let people make wise decisions. Business people and savers can't make decisions when the interest rates are fixed. The price of money, the interest rates, is so crucial, and yet we believe, too many of us believe, that the government should set interest rates, and this is the gross distortion. So regulations can't compensate for all these mistakes that the Federal Reserve generates and inserts into the economy.
So, Congressman, what would you have done when this crash came along? If you'd been in charge, would you have bailed out the economy, or how would you have solved the immediate problem that we were confronted with a year and a half ago?
Well, I would have treated it like 1920, 21. That depression lasted a year, and the GDP went down about 16% in 1 year. It was a bad year, but nobody even remembers it. The only active thing I would do would be to make sure taxes went down and spending would go down. I would, you know, you could have saved money compared to what they did on the bailout by just suspending the income tax for 3 or 4 years and let the people decide how the money should be spent, not buying up bad assets and propping up a flawed system. And the system is still propped up. All we did was we changed the victims. Instead of the people suffering who did all the speculating and did all the bad investment, we shifted those bad assets and all these derivatives over to the taxpayer. So, and that problem has not been solved yet. The commercial property crisis has not really hit yet, and we have not allowed the corrections. Corrections are good, and yet we have done everything conceivable to prevent the correction by doing the very things that created our problem. Spend more money, run up more debt, print more money, regulate more. It won't work.